let's talk about dynamic routing. This is continuation of the previous video I made on routing. In case you haven't watched the video on simple routing in PHP, I'm going to add the link to the description. You can watch it there. Now, talking about dynamic routing, that's we're moving forward with the routing we discussed the previous time. Now, let's now talk about how we can add dynamic routing to this simple array, on how we can, for example, you want to link to services page with different services, how you can make how you can add some parameters to your URL and accept it in your routes, you understand, and return the page based on what is your parameter and so on. So let's take, for instance, we have in our content page, we have let's say we have services, right? And then in our services we have let's say designs.php, and then we also have webdev.php, and then we have mobiledev.php. Now to let's now say, for instance, you have let's say down in this content pages you have let's say all services, right? Or let me just call it services, where all the services are going to be. And then as usual, in our all services we can have our page like this, and then let's have a list, h1 first, and then we have a list of our services, let's say web dev, mobile dev, and design. And let's actually add a link to the service in particular, right? Now let's say the link should be /services question mark, for example, service equals to that particular service. So for web dev, let's say web dev, and then we do the same for the other ones. For mobile dev we have mobile dev, and for designs we have designs like this. So that's our services page, and then in each of these services we can have them like this. This one is for design service, we have mobile dev service, and then we have web dev. Now we want to be able to call this particular route /services with a parameter question mark service equals that particular service, and then we'll be able to locate that particular content of that service we're calling, right? So in order to do that, just like we've been doing before, we declare the route now. Let's take, for example, we have, it's as simple as declaring the normal route we do before. /services is our route, right? And then all we need to do is, since we can do it in multiple ways, but I'll choose the easiest and most straightforward way so that it will be very understandable. There are so many other ways other people can choose to do this that feel like it might be, if you feel like other ways are better for you, but my own way, I'll make it very simple and straightforward. Now we have services route that's obviously going to a services page, which is this all services, right? Now what we need to do now is, in this all services, right, let's take, for instance, we have, in fact, in order to even make it more, since PHP is a template, can also serve as a template name, we can as well write our PHP inside of here. So at the top here we can have our PHP tag right before our page, where we can now we'll check if that particular route, which is this, we are currently on the services page, we'll check if there is any parameter, if it's set to services, right? And if there's anything like that found in the files, any parameter in your URL, you understand? Then we first of all check if there's anything like that, and if such exists, then we look for the particular content of that service and display it instead of displaying what we have here already. So in order to do that, we can choose to do use an if statement if is set to the get method services. So we service, right? If it's set to get method service, it means that now we have service in our URL. That's what it means. Now we now need to check if the value of that service exists, if the file exists, right? Now what we'll now do now is that we'll now try to get that particular file, the service file, from the directory. So let's say we have a service file equals to get the current directory, right? Slash, obviously current directory is in this content, and then slash services slash, right? And then so we're on this current directory. Slash services means we are currently in this directory, and then we now need to get that particular service, which is this one here. So let's use this, right, to get this, then .php. So this is the service file that we just got. So we've gotten the service file like this, right? Now that I've gotten the service file, now we need to now check if that file exists. We need to check if the file exists first of all, so that we'll not be having error. So we'll check if the file exists. If it doesn't exist, we'll return the same page. We'll continue returning the same page we are in. If it exists, we'll display that particular page. So we'll check if file exists like this. Yeah, if the file exists, all we need to do now is to include that particular file, right? Else, meaning that if it does not exist. Now else, if it does not exist, we don't even need the else statement, since we already have this page down here. So all we need to do is just, once you include this file, we need to just die, so that nothing else after this is going to be included. It means that this particular page we have here is not going to be added. So after including this file, we just die. I think with that we should be able to save the routes dynamically based on what we pass in the URL. So let's test this out. Let's first of all try out slash services. Let me expand this. So let's first of all go to our slash services. Right now, this is showing us all services, which is what we have, the content we have here. Now, if I click on the web dev, it takes us to web dev service, which is what we have here. Right now, if you look at the URL is !service equals web dev. If you click on mobile dev, it takes us to mobile dev service. You click on design, it takes us to design service route. So this way we can dynamically call different files, different routes based on the URL, the parameters passed in the URL. Alright, so guys, that is how you can dynamically call your routes using the parameters in browser. Like I said, there are several other ways people can do this. Instead of calling the parameter in the browser, they prefer to do slash services slash design and so on. Those ones are more different methods you can use to do that, but this is one of the simplest I want to share with you guys. I'm going to be dropping the link to the GitHub repo of this code I just made, so that you can make reference to it anytime you like, and you can download the code on your system and work with it. So thank you guys for viewing. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel.